Today on the program, Audi unveils its new A3 and it's quite disappointing. Renault presents the new Megane, and it's not much better. Nissan is abandoning its electric car project, and that's not exactly reassuring for the brand. And finally, Xiaomi breaks another record on the Nürburgring, except there was no driver behind the wheel. The Tesla Model 3. A clean, quiet car that makes you feel a little morally superior to everyone else. But it has one problem: the floor. A floor that, until now, you've been criminally neglecting. Because here's the reality. You have shoes, and those shoes have been outside, in the mud, in the snow, in the sand, and in places you'd rather not mention. But fortunately, there's a solution for that. 3W Autolife floor mats couldn't care less about your dirty shoes. Cool. They can be cleaned easily with just a single spray of water, less than a minute, and you're done. It's even faster than the time it takes to be disappointed by the latest Ferrari, and much more satisfying too. They were designed using three-dimensional laser scanning specifically for the Model 3. Every millimeter is calculated. The edges rise up to trap mud, water, and any other mess everyday life leaves in your car. The perfect solution to keep your car spotless. And on top of that, they never move thanks to anti-slip technology. And now I know you're asking two questions. Yes, I was paid to talk to you about floor mats, but after using them, I think they're well worth it. And no, you don't have to own a Tesla to get 3W Autolife mats. They make them for plenty of other models too. You'll find the link in the description or in a pinned comment. And right now, and only until June 26th, 3W Autolife is launching its Prime Day deals with the best discounts of the year on their custom floor mats. You'll find my promo code in the description and pinned comment to equip your car with easy-to-clean mats. Audi has just unveiled its brand new A3, and if you were hoping to impress your neighbor with your new purchase come September, I have some bad news. On the outside, it's like a spot the difference game, but without any differences. They've slightly tweaked the lighting signature inside the headlights and redesigned some fake air vents on the bumper. That's it, nothing else. However, the interior has been completely transformed. Audi has given into the trend of the century. They took a huge curved glass panel straight from the Q3 SUV and stuck it onto the dashboard. So you have an 11.9-inch screen behind the steering wheel and another 12.8-inch screen in the center. Goodbye to physical controls for the air conditioning. Everything is now managed through the touchscreen. Regarding safety, the new A3 features an adaptive cruise control that now manages everything up to 210 km/h. It stops by itself at red lights, starts again at green, and adapts to traffic. But the highlight is the Park Assist Pro. The car can memorize your most complex parking maneuvers. You show it once how to get into your tricky garage, and then it does it by itself. You don't even need to be inside anymore. Under the hood, however, it's the same as before. The 116 and 150 horsepower gasoline and diesel engines are still there. The 204 and 272 horsepower plug-in hybrids keep their electric range of 142 kilometers, which is quite respectable. But let's talk about what's upsetting: the RS3 and its 394 horsepower. It's still powered by that legendary 2.5-liter 5-cylinder engine, an engine whose rough and uneven sound gives you goosebumps. Well, enjoy it while you can, because this is the end. Because of the upcoming Euro 7 standard, Audi has announced the end of RS3 production for Europe in mid-2027. This monument of automotive engineering will survive on other continents, but here it's going to die. Assassinated by Brussels bureaucrats and a French tax system that has become completely insane. So what should we take away from this new 2026 Audi A3? It's still just as expensive, starting at over 35,000 euros for a 116 horsepower engine and going up to nearly 80,000 euros for the RS3. It now has huge screens. It's capable of parking itself. But from the outside, no one will know that you bought the new model. Next, Nissan is backtracking and the electric Qashqai is ultimately canceled. Why? It's very simple and comes down to two words: too expensive. You see, Nissan is going through a period that could politely be described as catastrophic. In the 2025-2026 fiscal year, they recorded a net loss approaching 3 billion euros. Their operating profits have dropped by 87%. And in response to this disaster, they launched a global rescue plan that involves closing 7 factories, cutting 20,000 jobs and drastically reducing their range of models. In this context of financial panic, developing an electric Qashqai from scratch suddenly seemed like a brilliant idea to go bankrupt even faster, especially since the European electric car market currently seems like a roller coaster run by a nearsighted teenager. Demand is unstable, customers are cautious, and now Chinese manufacturers offer electric SUVs priced like exercise bikes. And faced with these new entrants, Nissan realized that its future electric Qashqai might end up being either way too expensive to produce, completely outdated technologically, or worse, both. And then there's geopolitics. The European Union is preparing new rules requiring that a certain proportion of electric vehicle components be made in Europe to qualify for tax benefits. The issue is that the Sunderland factory, planned to build this Qashqai, is in Great Britain. And since a certain event called Brexit, Great Britain is no longer in the European Union. As a result, an electric Qashqai made in the UK would have been taxed and penalized, making it even more expensive and even less competitive. So what does Nissan do? They backpedal and cancel, so the Qashqai will keep its gasoline and hybrid engines. Nissan is also canceling the production of 2 electric SUVs planned for the United States. They are refocusing on what sells today and what brings in money now. The ultimate irony, the cherry on top of this cake of strategic incompetence, is what's happening in Sunderland. To fill the gap left by the abandonment of the electric Qashqai and to save the 6,000 jobs at the factory, Nissan has just signed an agreement with Chery, a Chinese automaker backed by the state. Yes, Nissan's historic British factory, a flagship of Japanese industry, will probably start assembling Chinese cars as early as next year. The same Chinese cars that pushed Nissan to abandon its own electric model. It's supremely ironic, but that's the harsh reality of the market. We can promise a bright future, but in the end, it's always the banker who calls the tune. Renault has just revealed an upgraded version of its Megane model, first launched in 2022, which initially performed well. But between 2024 and 2025, sales dropped, almost cut in half in France. So in this beautiful summer of 2026, Renault decided to react and unveiled the long-awaited facelift of its compact car. And the question everyone is asking is simple. Is this new Megane a disappointment? Let's start with the exterior. If you look at the rear, you won't see any difference at all, except for some vaguely 3D taillights. The profile is identical. However, at the front, the designers had a strong coffee and decided to change everything. Gone is the big logo that spilled over onto the hood. Gone is the smooth, rounded look. The new Megane sports a face covered with small diamonds, a glossy black trim piece, and a checkered light signature. But the real innovation is hidden under the hood. The biggest criticism of the previous Megane was its 60 kilowatt-hour battery. Compared to rivals like the Cupra-born Coupe, which offers nearly 80 kilowatt-hours, the little French car seemed a bit weak. So we expected Renault to equip it with the huge 87 kilowatt-hour battery from the new Scenic. But actually no. Instead, they installed a 67 kilowatt-hour LFP, lithium iron phosphate, battery. So yes, it's cheaper to produce, but it's also much heavier and less energy dense. As a result, the battery is 3 cm thicker, which forced the engineers to raise the whole car by 2 centimeters. And all that for what? To barely gain 30 kilometers of range. The Megane now claims 500 kilometers on the WLTP cycle. Fortunately, Renault has fixed its biggest flaw, the charging time. The peak power goes from 130 to 165 kilowatt-hours. You can now go from 15 to 80% charge in 24 minutes. That's good. It's not a world record, but it's good. Inside, it's another round of spot the differences. The excellent inverted L-shaped dual screen with integrated Google system is still among the market's best. The only real visible innovation is a magnetic induction charger, like MagSafe for your iPhone, and the appearance of 6000 mAh on the dashboard. So, to answer the initial question, yes, this facelift feels a bit unfinished. Renault made accountant-like choices. The new LFP battery makes the car 70 kilos heavier, forces it to be raised, and only brings a marginal increase in range. The 220 horsepower motor remains, but the 0 to 100 time is 0.2 of a second slower due to extra weight. The Megane E-Tech 2026 is a good car, no doubt about it, but faced with very aggressive competition, it seems to be content with standing still. The only hope for this Megane to reach the top again is its price, which has not yet been announced. And finally, as you know, Xiaomi now makes cars. Their latest creation is called the YU7 GT. It's an electric SUV. It produces over 1,000 horsepower, goes from 0 to 100 in 2.9 seconds, and reaches a top speed of 300 km/h. A month ago, a professional driver got behind the wheel of this machine and completed the Nürburgring in 7 minutes and 22 seconds. It was an absolute record for an SUV. But Xiaomi thought, that's fine, but it's a bit dull, right? What if we did it again, but without a driver? And that's what they did. Xiaomi has just set a new record on the Nürburgring, the fastest lap ever completed by a fully autonomous car. So what is this extraordinary time? 10 minutes and 29 seconds. That's more than 3 minutes slower than the human driver. But let's watch the onboard video of this historic lap. The Y7 GT takes the corners with the caution of a grandmother carrying a cream cake on the passenger seat. It brakes early, leaves safety margins worthy of a driving school inspector, and makes sure not to touch any curbs. The AI knows perfectly well that if it crashes this prototype into the guardrail, the chief engineer will end up transferred to the smart toothbrush department. Where the robot excels is on the straight. Exiting corners, the computer hits the digital accelerator and unleashes all 1,000 horsepower at once. But why did Xiaomi do this? Why brag about a lap time that would make any track day enthusiast in a Volkswagen Golf laugh? Because it's a show of strength. Xiaomi wants to show the world that its autonomous driving system is capable of analyzing, understanding, and surviving the green hell. They want to prove that they're on the same level as Tesla's FSD or NVIDIA's systems. Today, the algorithm drives at an average speed of 119 km/h to avoid damaging the car, but the computer learns very quickly. Unlike a human driver, the machine doesn't feel fear. It doesn't sweat, it doesn't get tired, and each lap provides it with terabytes of data to optimize its line on the next lap. This record of 10 minutes and 29 seconds is completely absurd. It's slow, it's clinical, and it has no sporting value. Any one of you with a bit of courage and a rental car could probably do much better. But don't laugh too hard, because this lap is not an end in itself, it's a warning. Today the computer needs 10 minutes, next year it will take 8, and in 5 years, robots will beat humans on their own playing field. And then it might not be very fun to watch. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all for watching this new video. Don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Bye.